On behalf of my community, there is one more decision which is impacting our community, that is cancellation of non-domicile licenses, and especially the CDL drivers. And they are huge in this county and in this district where you're running from. How you take that decision? They have cancelled the licenses.
Well, I don't agree with canceling licenses just from a community. Number one, because, I'm on that committee. And what we were called to do by, the Attorney General's office, the federal government, was to not only codify some of those federal rules, but have a strong stance against not a community, but people that are on the road illegally.
What is your vision on minority businesses in your Congressional District 4? How you see them, how you will lead them, how you will grow them?
See, I don't even, and that's one thing I think maybe I'm naive, I don't look at it, that's a minority business, that's it. I see people who are hardworking that start a business, that are family-oriented, that work hard and contribute to their communities.
Since we have seen Trump's administration representing Republican Party, how you will convince Democrat voters what you are telling them, because some of them are upset with Trump's decision right now. It impacts you as a candidate.
It does.
But how you are convincing your Democrat voters or even a Republican voters that you believe in a different system? Like you said, you voted against the powerful people. Then how you're convincing them?
Number one, I love Indian food, by the way.
What do you like about Indian food?
I love it because it's probably the most flavorful food out there.
Which, especially any dish you like?
Well, my wife makes a pretty mean butter chicken.
Oh yeah, I love butter chicken too.
Butter chicken, but I love that bread. I can't remember what it's called. It's
the naan.
Yeah, the naan bread, but the homemade naan. Not,
yeah.
And grocery store naan's okay.
But also we call roti, naan.
That one. But
I don't know about the podcast, but tell your wife I'm coming one day to your home.
Okay.
I love to eat butter chicken. I'm very fond of butter chicken.
Okay.
And I will love that.
Okay, well, if it's not as good as it should be, don't say that to her.
All right, guys. Today in this podcast, I have a special guest with me. And when it comes to special guest, idea is to bring different guests from different field. And since in the state of Indiana and our viewers want to listen what's happening in American politics. So in this podcast, we will know about representatives, those who live in state of Indiana and they have a dream to serve community and to give back to community. And today this guest served the military of United States of America, especially the Marine Department. And he is a lieutenant colonel. He's a father. He's a businessman from Morrisville, Indiana. And he is running for Congress from District 4. And he already won primaries in 2022 for state rep. And now he is asking you to support him, vote him in this 2026 May primary from Congressional District 4. I have a guest, a friend, and a politician. When I say politician, sometimes you think what he will bring on the table. But a good friend, I would say, for our community, Craig Haggard. Welcome, Mr. Haggard. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And I really apologize. You came early and I was not ready for that. But okay. I can apologize on the screen for that. No. But this is not the last interview. We will have more in future. Okay. But I really want you to introduce to our community who you are. Okay. I already told them a little bit your background. But what is your agenda to run for this race and why you want support from South Asian community?
Okay. Like you said, I have a life of military service. And during that time in service, from leading humanitarian missions for about 11 years to Central Mexico, from working in disaster relief around the world. My youngest daughter is adopted from Russia. I've spent, the world's small. And one thing I've found is that everybody around the world, even former enemies that we dealt with, most of their folks actually want good things for their family. They want a safe place for their kids to lay their head. They want to be prosperous. They want to, and so I found that I always like to say human beings want the same thing. It's usually the leaders that are the bad people, right? And sometimes that's our own leaders. So I want to go and fight and serve like I have my whole life in D.C. for my people, and not just the people of Indiana, but for all my communities. And we have a very diverse community in my current district now. We have obviously a very large Indian community,
Right.
not only in Hendricks County, but in Johnson County that I currently represent. And we have a big Burmese community. Anyway, we have, of course, Pakistanis, we have some Armenians, we have, and one of the things I've really enjoyed, because I represent everybody. I represent not only our communities, but I represent the Democrats, I represent the independents, the libertarians, because those are our people. That's one thing that makes this country great, is because we are made up of the big melting pot of people. And what I love is to understand not only those cultures, the different religions. I've come, number one, I love Indian food, by the way.
What do you like about Indian food?
I love it because it's probably the most flavorful food out there.
Or which, especially any dish you like?
What's that?
Any specially dish you like?
Well, my wife makes a pretty mean butter chicken.
Oh yeah, I love butter chicken too.
Butter chicken, but I love that bread. I can't remember what it's called. It's, anyway, that they bring it out.
The naan.
Yeah, the naan bread, but the homemade naan.
Yeah.
And grocery store naan's okay.
But also we call roti, naan.
That one. But so I love experiencing that and getting to know. I think the more you get to know the different groups of individuals you represent. And
I don't know about the podcast, but tell your wife I'm coming one day to your home.
Okay.
I love to eat butter chicken. I'm very fond of butter chicken.
Okay.
And I will love that.
Okay, well, if it's not as good as it should be, don't say that to her. But I think it's important when you represent all these people, you don't represent just the group who, say, votes for you. Mm-hmm. You represent everybody. And I think our country's kind of forgotten that.
Right.
Is that the beautiful thing about our country, even those that disagree with us, they need to have that First Amendment right to protest, to say things, as long as they're not hurting anybody. That's what makes us special, is because we are a melting pot, because we can disagree. Mm-hmm. And I think because I think you've seen in parties people starting to say, well, I only like our little group. I think that's dangerous. And so anyway, I want to continue to serve. I want to continue to represent the people of Indiana, all my people.
And Mr. Haggard, also, coming from a Marine background, coming from the military background, I know you're not worried about any obstacles, any high wind, any tides are coming. It has to come all the way when you are in politics. Is there anything which is distracting you right now, and any kind of negative energies you're seeing while you're running this campaign, and which bothers you?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the 4th District is 16 counties.
Right.
And you sometimes see things put out there, especially with social media today. Mm-hmm. You'll have some negative things put out there, and it's almost impossible. If you're running just for a small area, you can call up everybody. And I'm busy 7 days a week from morning till the evening, meeting. I give my phone number out to everybody. But there's so much, well, not a ton, but a lot of misinformation where people get upset about something. And a lot of times they get upset not from a mean place, just because they get bad information, but they actually truly care about it. But to try to reach every one of those individuals and explain, well, this is not how that works, or that really didn't happen, or that was AI, or whatever the problem is. That's probably the biggest frustration, is I think sometimes then you get distracted and spend time telling somebody, listen, that's not what you thought it was, and maybe they did, maybe we disagree, but at least let them know why I did something. So you spend a lot of time kind of getting off track of having to fight that bad information because of the social media network.
And any positive things coming on your way?
I've been doing this for about 2.5 years, and one of the positive things is not just my immigrant communities, but also just I've discovered things all over the state of Indiana that I didn't know existed. Mm-hmm. Wonderful people, wonderful restaurants. I've made friends in all these different counties, communities, that I think will be lifelong friends. So win or lose this race, afterwards, I'll have experiences in the state, and I'll have friendships that'll last a lifetime. And I think that's a good thing.
But why? I understand you're meeting lots of people. Maybe you're meeting for the first time. Why should they trust you, Craig? What do you have done so far for them?
Well, my entire life, from the military has been service, to the non-profits I've done service, to being on the church, and the good thing about being a state rep for the 2 terms is they can look at my votes. And maybe they didn't like all of them, but I think most people would like the majority, that I do stand up against sometimes my own party when I disagree with them. And so, as Senate Bill 1, which is the big property tax bill, which a lot of people are familiar with, I was one of 3 Republicans voted against it.
Okay.
Ed Delaney, who's a Democrat, senior Democrat, I voted with his amendments this year against Republican Party for oversight of IEDC and some other things because I thought it was the right thing to do. So I'm a person that says, hey, I stand for this, and you can look publicly that I've gone against those big, powerful groups or whatever. And at the end of the day, I guess until I prove to you, I always say to my kids, deeds instead of words. I want to see what you've done. And I think I have a track record, at least, of service, of helping people, putting the service above myself. And my voting record, I think, that is a good start for people to trust me. But I would say, let me show you. At this point, don't take my word for it. But I'm accountable to you.
So what are the top 3 issues you think you have in Congressional District 4?
So, from traveling around, I would say the biggest issue, I believe, the biggest threat to our country, and you'll hear different, what about China, what about this, what about that? I think actually our biggest threat is ourselves. Because with the huge national debt, I think that's an issue because if every civilization in the history of the world has failed for economic reasons. And if that fails, it doesn't matter how good this state is or that state is. And so I think that's one of the biggest things is to deal with that. And there's a whole bunch. We could talk a few hours on debt reduction and balanced budget amendments to the Constitution and all that sort of stuff. But I think that's an issue. And I think affordability, because people are seeing that. Now, right now, it's artificially inflated to the gas pump, but still, those energy prices, food prices, all those things that the rest of us, not the big important people, but the rest of us, have to write a check for, and that's a big deal. And then public safety.
So, since we have seen Trump's administration, representing Republican Party, how you will convince Democrat voters what you are telling them that, because some of them are upset with, Trump's decision right now, and it impacts you as a candidate.
It does.
But how you are convincing your Democrat voters or even a Republican voters that you believe in a different system. Like you said, you voted against the powerful people. Then how you're convincing them?
Well, they could look at that record, number one. They could also look at, I've done some interviews where, they asked particularly about the war with Iran going on right now. And as a military person, as a combat veteran, a person who served in war, a person who lost friends, I can openly say, and I'll say this, I support our troops. I think we should be the strongest military in the world. We should be the best, but I hate war. I really do.
So you are against the war, what Trump administration is doing?
No. I look at, because I fought over there, and I know indirectly or directly the Iranian regime, not the people. The majority of the Iranian people are good people and want these freedoms, but they've been killing Americans directly or indirectly since 1979. I have friends who actually have had part of their limbs blown off from Iranian-funded IEDs, to the USS Cole, to the Beirut barracks, to the Khobar Towers, and I could just name on and on and on and on proxies that we've fought that were funded by them, and so they're dangerous. But it's not an anti-Muslim thing, because actually we are great friends with a tremendous amount of Muslim countries. When I fought in Kosovo, we fought on the side of the Kosovar people, which are Muslims. And I'd like to think that we would fight on the side of those that cannot protect themselves. And in this situation, I know directly from speaking with particularly Iranians, that they welcome this. They want to be they so bad want to be free. And so, but it's tough because war is horrible. So at this point, I think we need to finish. I hope it's quick. I don't keep death at a minimum and let this be over with, because it affects the rest of the world.
So on behalf of my community, thank you for putting your vision and shadow on this war situation right now. On behalf of my community, there is one more decision which is impacting our community. That is, cancellation of non-domicile licenses, and especially the CDL drivers. And they are huge in this county and in this district where you're running from. How you take that decision? They have canceled the licenses.
Well, I don't agree with canceling licenses just from a community. Number one, because I'm on that committee. And what we were called to do by the Attorney General's office, the federal government, was to not only codify some of those federal laws, but have a strong stance against not a community, but people that are on the road illegally. When I say that is in people who haven't been properly trained. Now that has to do with, we're not going after the Indian community. We're going after bad drivers,
Mm-hmm.
people that haven't had that proper training.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is not, I have no problem with non-domiciled drivers, as long as a non-domiciled driver, whether that be Indian or whether that be Pakistani, whether that be Central American or whoever that driver may be, as long as they just have the proper paperwork and proper training. And if they have that, that's all it says.
Okay.
We are not just blatantly canceling non-domiciled drivers. And I think that, and I hate that they see that, because I don't believe in that. I wouldn't have been on that. It was just, we want people safe, properly trained. We're not going after anybody. And that's what it really is. And, I've talked to a few drivers from this community, and they believe in the same thing. They're like, of course we want to be safe, properly trained, and all that. So I don't feel that there's this big, push by us to point anybody out. But this is one of those things with like social media. I think you hear this, and then somebody says, "Oh, they're doing this or doing this," and that's truly not what the bill does.
So are you also aware about Senate Bill 1200?
1200. Oh, the
bill.
BMV bill.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the bill I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how if that comes in front of you, and how you will put your vision and how you will do a debate in front of your colleagues, those who are in the favor of that bill.
Mm-hmm.
So how you will take that bill? Like, will you vote against it, or will you vote?
Well, we've already voted on that, and I'm not in the state legislature.
But if you were at that situation.
Oh no, I would make to ensure that this is basically just saying, hey, we want safe, properly documented and trained drivers on the road. Period.
Okay.
I mean, that's all I want. And I think that's what the community wants.
What is your vision on minority businesses in your congressional district, for how you see them, how you will lead them, how you will grow them?
Well, I look at, I don't even, and that's one thing I think maybe I'm naive, I don't look at it, that's a minority business, that's it. I see people who are hardworking, that start a business, that are family-oriented, that work hard and contribute to their communities. And for any of those businesses, I will be behind them and for them all the time. I don't look at them, and I really, to be honest with you, I hate it when we separate, because at the end of the day, I think, like I said, from being around the world, I look at us all as brothers and sisters that, kind of share this common goal. And I got to tell you, the majority of minority businesses that I've been to, these are folks that work their butt off, they contribute to the community, they're very loyal to their family, and that, I like that. That impresses me, and that's what draws me closer to those people.
What is your message to all your voters, those who are watching you right now, and how you will change their life if you get elected?
Well, I think, everybody knows in Desi that the process is slow, and it's a mess up there, right? But one of the biggest things I found at the state, and I know at a federal level you can do, is have a very robust, strong constituent service. And so just by having the title of congressman and just having those assets available to you and people who to know to call, you can help so many people within your district just by making phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing. You don't have to legislate. You don't have to write a bill. They can say, have a problem. And I would say 90% of the time you can say, hey, you know what? I have my people they'll contact. You need to talk to those people. And then sometimes, and I've done this before, when they didn't get calls back, I just call the head of the agency in the state and go, hey, why haven't you called these people back and get somebody on it? And usually it's taken care of. So I think in that way, you can see some instant help, instant gratification, where if, once again, you have to have a person who runs that actually cares about their people and who will call back and communicate with them. And that's what I'll do. That's what I have done over the last 4 years.
Okay, the last question, but not the least question.
Okay.
How you see Donald Trump as a president?
Well, here's the thing. Do I like the policies of a lot of the policies? Yes, I do. Do I agree with everything? No, I don't. In particular with the war. As a person who fought in combat, who lost friends and things like that, I don't like the joking or flippant remarks about that, because people, it's serious. Families are at home. I don't think people understand how tough it is for families at home to have a loved one fighting a war. And when you make jokes about or this, that, I don't like that at all. And so I don't look at it whether I like the man or not like the man. I look at the policies and whether they're working or not, whether our borders protected, whether our grocery prices are starting to go down, whether the cost of living and a lot of those policies.
And how you see today's gas price?
Well, the gas price right now is artificially inflated. Not one drop of gas has stopped flowing into the United States, but it's because it's a commodities-based market. The traders in New York and the oil companies are making billions of dollars because they're not they'll go back down, but they won't go back down until there's not this scary thing going on overseas, and then the traders will go, okay, there's not a scary thing going on. But the oil flow has not been interrupted. So, yeah, I don't like it. I'm driving all over the states. I'm spending a lot of money in gas right now. But I think that's an artificial inflation due to the conflict overseas.
All right, Lieutenant Colonel Haggard, and all the best for your elections. And to all my viewers, we are putting the website, and you can connect with Craig Haggard. And as you all know, he's running for District 4. If you think he's the right candidate for this primary election from the Republican side, go and support him, call him, ask questions, whatever you want to know about his background and his agenda for upcoming elections. And I would say you should connect with all those people, those who are doing best for the community. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you for your time. And we will definitely have you maybe in a couple of weeks before your elections one more time.
Okay.
And that time, I promise you I will be ready beforehand.
That's all right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. And you were watching Harkirat Singh Ahluwalia podcast, The Saab. Do subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.